on the Hawkeyes Sports Network from Learfield. This is the Fight for Iowa podcast, brought to you by Athletico Physical Therapy, proud partner of the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Big Ten Conference. Iowa's corn farmers of the Iowa Corn Growers Association and Iowa Corn Promotion Board. You may think Iowa grows corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa. Shields, we're right there with you in Des Moines, Sioux City, Iowa City, and Cedar Falls. University of Iowa Healthcare. Changing medicine, changing lives. This is the Fight for Iowa podcast. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
Calling it bittersweet news for all of us who love the University of Iowa and who have incredible admiration and respect for all Coach Bluder has accomplished and how she did it. Jensen this week became the 6th head coach in Iowa women's basketball history, succeeding the Hall of Famer Lisa Bluder. Jensen has served as associate head coach alongside her mentor for the past 24 years at Iowa and 8 years before that at Drake, where she was a star player when Bluder headed up the Bulldog program. More from Jensen shortly, but first, Bluder's announcement caught many outside the university and around the country off guard. Naismith, Big Ten Coach of the Year multiple times, a member of 4 Halls of Fame, Bluder amassed 884 career victories across a 40-year bench career. That's the 10th most in NCAA history, producing national and Big Ten Players of the Year and consensus All-Americans, most notably Caitlin Clark and Megan Gustafson. Bluder retires as the all-time winningest coach in Big Ten history with 528 overall victories, 262 of those in conference play. The Hawkeyes won 5 Big Ten tournament titles and shared 2 regular season championships. Bluder guided Iowa to the last 2 national championship games and 22 postseason appearances in all. She felt the timing was right and that the transition to a trusted friend and extraordinary, marvelous coach will be smooth.
Oh, Jan's going to do an amazing job. She's been, my right hand for 20 years. She's been at Iowa for 24 years. She's Iowa through and through, and she is the perfect person for this position.
What are you going to do first? Take the garbage out, wash the car, take a trip? I mean, you were sneaky. You caught everybody off guard, but good for you.
I think the first things I'm going to do is just try to get my life in order after, this many years of not spending time around my house or my kids. I just need to spend some time with them. And Dave and I are going to do a little traveling, but I will be at every Iowa athletic event that I can possibly be at. I might get to go to a bowl game. I've never been to a bowl game in my life. I might get to do that now.
Well, you will get to do that now because Kirk's going to take him. And that's a good segue into Coach Ferentz, 25 years, you 24 years. You're only a few months apart upon your arrival at Iowa. And I have no doubt that you've patterned your success somewhat after his.
Kirk and I came in close together, as you said, and I'm just so thankful that I got to coach with a football coach that supported our program, that was such a good friend. He's an amazing coach, an amazing man, and I'm so thankful to call him a friend, and I'm glad that we got to spend the last quarter of a century together.
You've come a long way from that little girl in Marion, Linn-Mar, northern Iowa, then to Drake, great college coaching career at a number of stops. And the last 24 years at Iowa, Caitlin changed everything in terms of success for the Hawkeyes. But you put Iowa on the basketball map a long time ago. The consistency has been remarkable.
Yeah, everybody remembers Caitlin's years, and that's to be expected because they were fabulous. But, Megan Gustafson was an amazing player, the National Player of the Year in 2019. We had Sam Logic, who was the Big Ten Player of the Year, the 7th draft pick overall before that. So we've had some great players, but I think television exposure, social media exposure, came at a great time for Caitlin to expose our team and to grow her game.
Transfer portal and NIL changed things too a little bit, and we hope for the good in the long run.
Yeah, we got a good transfer this year in Lucy Olson. She's amazing, 3rd leading scorer in the country from Villanova. Point guard, just what we needed. Senior leadership to bring along a really good freshman class that's coming in ranked 9th in the country. 5 young women that are very, very good, but very young. So we needed somebody like Lucy Olson who had that experience to come in and to help grow them.
And I think it's a testimony to you and what people think of you, especially players, when, at least at this point, that entire recruiting class and everybody plans to come back next season.
You know, they do. And that's exactly what it is. It's not about coming to Iowa for one person. It's about coming to Iowa for the culture, the fans, the fan support, the other women on the team. So it's not like one person changes that. That's what we are. That's a culture, and that's what they're coming for.
Lisa, give me 2 sentences on Jan Jensen. I know it would take a lifetime to describe her. You guys have been glued to the hips for so long, but she is your right arm, or has been, and she's a wonderful recruiter.
Yep.
How do you describe her now head coaching style?
Yeah, I mean, Jan is a great leader. She's a great team builder. She's a great culture builder. She's going to bring in the right people that fit Iowa. I mean, it's not like getting the best player. It's the best player that fits Iowa, and she's going to continue to do that. She's going to get a great staff in here, and I'm going to be her biggest champion as the years go on.
As the years go by, Lisa Bluder plans to travel more with family and friends, spend quality time with her kids, and we're happy to report she'll serve as an advisor to the women's basketball program. Enjoy retirement, Coach. You sure deserve some R&R. You'll hear from new head coach Jan Jensen after a word from our Fight for Iowa sponsors, Shields, Athletico, UIHC, and Iowa Corn.
More of the Fight for Iowa podcast after this.
When it comes to your health, you need the full picture. That means the right diagnosis and the right treatment right from the start. I'm Aaron Bose, pediatric neurologist with University of Iowa Healthcare. Here, we're working together every day to advance medicine so you can get the best care. With more research, more clinical trials, and more treatment options than anywhere else in the state, the University of Iowa Healthcare is changing medicine and changing lives. Learn more at uihc.org.
To anyone passing through our state, fields and fields of corn might be what they see. But the people who call Iowa home know it's so much more. Corn is ethanol, a homegrown, renewable fuel. Corn is delicious pork, beef, poultry, and dairy. Corn is in 4,000 products we rely on every day. So yeah, our highway views are full of corn, and we're proud of it. Because corn grows Iowa. Show your support for Iowa corn farmers at iowacorn.org/fan of corn.
Tickets are on sale now for the Hy-Vee IndyCar Race Weekend Concert Series. Saturday, July 13th, see Luke Combs and Eric Church. And Sunday, July 14th, see Post Malone and Kelsey Ballerini live in concert. 1 ticket per day gets you into a race and 2 concerts. Tickets on sale now at HyVeeIndyCarWeekend.com.
Are aches, pains, or injuries keeping you on the sidelines? At Athletico, our movement experts are here to help you turn your setbacks into comebacks and create a personalized game plan for your recovery. With no prescription or referral needed, Athletico Physical Therapy is where your comeback story begins. Get started today by scheduling a free assessment at athletico.com. Proud partner of the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Now back to the Fight for Iowa podcast. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
New Iowa women's basketball coach Jan Jensen led the nation in scoring while a senior at Drake. The Iowa system of point producing up and down the floor won't change a lot. With the 9th-ranked recruiting class and heralded transfer portal pickup Lucy Olson, along with returnees Hannah Stolke, Sida Falter, Kylie Feuerbach, and Taylor McCabe, the Hawkeyes look to the future with optimism. For now, Jensen is thankful for the position she's been put in. Here's a part of her introductory press conference at Carver Hawkeye Arena.
I know there's a lot of people that could take this job, but I promise you nobody loves this place as much as I do. And I promise you, we've been working together for years tirelessly, and I will commit to that. I'm going to work my hardest to continue building on everything that Christine Grant started in her vision of this athletic department. And Lark Birdsong started it, and obviously the Vivian Stringer years, and then certainly Lisa. And it is not lost on me that I've gotten to have my dream job at a place that I love, and now I get to have my dream title. And are you kidding me? And I don't have to move. I am beyond blessed. I am beyond excited, and I'm in awe that I get to stand here in this capacity today. So I thank you for all the coverage you're giving us, and I so hope I'm part of some wonderful stories you'll get together in many years to come.
Chad Leistico, Des Moines Register. So I know Lisa talked to the players a lot about like envisioning things, okay? So like the last week or so since you've known, maybe you might be in line for this, how do you envision this program looking under Jan Jensen leadership, and like, you know, exact same as Lisa Bluder, differences, crowds? I don't know, what comes to your mind when you think about that vision?
Well, I think whether our staff stayed intact from last year to this year was going to look a lot different, right? It's going to be rebuilding in the sense of you graduated tremendous seniors, certainly a generational player like Caitlin. There will be fans that, were Caitlin fans, but I really believe that a lot of people came for Caitlin, but they stayed for Hannah. They stayed for Sid. They certainly stayed for Kate and Gabby, but I think they stayed for what that team and what this culture is. And this was the same culture when Megan Gustafson was here in 2019. We made it to the Elite Eight that year, but that same synergy and that same fun and that same joy, I think there's that saying, tradition never graduates. I don't believe culture graduates, but you have to work on it. You have to recruit to it. You have to work at it. And I think that's what these amazing loyal fans will continue to do. And I think that whether there was a coaching change or not, the majority, even 2 weeks ago, they were so ready for this next season. They're curious. They're excited. They want to see what the next era was going to be. 2 weeks ago, I didn't know that it was going to be, quote unquote, my era, right? But the same vision that I had working with Lisa will be continuing. You want to do it at a very high level. You want to do it with integrity, never compromising your values. And you want to put a product on the floor that's fun to watch and fun to cheer for and fun to play. So that will remain the same. Now, how we do it, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. We've had pretty good success. But, I'm going to put my own little, stamp on it, right? We haven't ever full court press before. I know Raina's a big proponent of that, right? So you might see a few things differently. But if you read my bio at all, I like offense, So that started way back in 1985, and it just kind of came all, stuck with us all the way. Lisa's a 6-on-6 girl too, and so was Jenny. And so there'll be some different things, there's different sets that, maybe when we had our coaching meetings, it's a collaboration. Some of the things that maybe I wanted to vote for, they got voted down. Well, now guess what? I'm going to give it my shot, right? I say that tongue in cheek, but it's again goes back to there's a big change, but a lot of the same things will remain. And I'm very proud of that. I think all the Coach K disciples, Roy Williams disciples, whether they got to stay at their place or go, you'd be crazy not to take some of what they instilled in you. So Lisa, I'm going to, have her stay on in some capacity. She's going to help us be an advisor, and I'm very, very excited that she'll be willing to do that. So thanks to her for that.
Hi, Jan. Mike Colossi, Cedar Rapids Gazette. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you have clearly defined goals on the court, off the court, but not immediate, but for the whole time you're going to be doing this job?
Yeah, I think there's two ways that you can look at that. I haven't had time to really sit down and look at your short-term goals and your long-term goals, which, I will. And I don't always share those publicly, just like sometimes we don't always share with the team. does, because sometimes you can put it out there and when you come up short you get hammered. Sometimes that is within house. I think when you're chasing greatness, you want to be a champion. I mean, I don't think there's been one season, I don't care how much we've rebuilt, that we've gone in there and said, well, let's just try to finish 5th this year. I'm not wired like that. Every year I want to be the champion of the Big Ten Conference. And I don't think you can take this job if you're constantly looking, at like, okay, let's just do this bit. Understanding it's a long game. I don't know, it's not coach speak, but I think we have some great pieces returning. I like who's coming in. That I don't think that has to be oh boy, that's a pie in the sky. But we graduated quite a class and quite a player. So I don't think that I'm into putting everything in this first year. I'm going to have a little longer term contract. So I want to chase greatness. My expectations of the players are going to, they've been to, back-to-back tournament champs. They've been to back-to-back championship games. I'd like to think they're coming in with a mentality, a little chip on their shoulder, because most of everybody else is going to say, hey, you lost all that. So I'd say I'm not shying away to be great.
Hey, Jan, way in the back here.
Yep.
Mark Freund with WHO 13 in Des Moines.
Yep.
We heard Beth talk about how great it was that the easy choice was the right choice. And when you talk about continuity in your program, how valuable will it be for you in your position to have that continuity when it comes to recruiting and things of that nature, to kind of just keep the juju going, I guess, so to speak? Yeah,
great question. I feel very fortunate with that. As I've alluded to, it's been a big change, but most everything remains the same. And thankfully to our staff returning, and to every one of our players, every committed player, everybody's here. Everybody stayed. And I'd like to, I just consider that on day one a really big win, that everybody was with me and with us. And I think that is nice, just the continuity. And I think it's great that Lisa agreed to be an advisor role. I don't know what we'll exactly call that, but she's going to be around. She built it. She loves it, and she's going to be a great resource for me. I'm going to need a little bit of grace from my team, and as we learn and grow, and certainly I'm going to make my share of mistakes, but I'm going to have her to kind of lean on. The players, they can see her on occasion, so I do think that's just a really just adds to the seamless nature of this hire in that way. I'm just fortunate that I'm the one that's been the associate head coach that got the shot, right?
Hey, Jan, Shannon,
Yep.
KCCI.
Yeah.
Walk me through, I don't know if anybody's asked you, walk me through the emotions when Lisa told you that she was retiring, and then you got the call. Yeah.
I think happy, sad, right? When she told us, kind of a little bit of shock, because again, everybody, all my friends that coach, sometimes the ones you're closest to, she's got to know. What's her time frame? I'm like, we don't. She doesn't really know. But I think probably the shocker to everybody was the distance after the season, right? So when that happened, it was just you're unsteady for a second, right? It's a lot of years together. 33 years of trying to do something together. But I think both things can be really true. You can be really, really happy, and I was so happy and fired up for the possibility, especially when Beth, called me up and said, hey, you want to visit? And I said, how fast? Yes. Can I get there? But by the same time, you can also, almost a mourning of what was, because it's like anything in life. It's a beautiful chapter closed. Whatever those milestone moments, you graduate from high school, you graduate from college, your first job, and then you get that next promotion. So is the ability to experience the realm of emotions. But for me, what I just feel so blessed with, the overriding emotion has always been gratitude. And that's what I felt. I'm so grateful for all that was, and just incredibly excited for hopefully all that will be. And to be able to do it again at a place I love, and with people I love and respect, and with a university that believes in me and us, and then our fan base, just gratitude. I felt that same way when the season ended, and it just has continued to carry over.
Hi, Scott Docterman again with The Athletic. Excuse me. I wanted to ask you about how hectic, chaotic Monday might have been for you once the announcement came in. This is a new era for recruiting over the last couple of years, where all your players are now available via the transfer portal. You have commits, some high-level commits, plus incoming players. How long did it take you to make sure that you had everything secure? And did you have a chance to even enjoy the news on that time?
That's a great question. I would say that was probably one of the most intense days that I had ever experienced. It had every emotion of elation, but also that uncertainty. And I wanted to be, you're thrusting into the head coach role, but my best friend is also retired. So sometimes you just want to give her a hug and understand this is where I know it's difficult, but Lisa and I were on the phones trying to, just explain that, yeah, it's different, but we're going to be okay. So we kind of come through, because you don't want the news to leak, because we certainly wanted Lisa to have her moment without one of you guys leaking it, right, or covering or scooping each other, is to give everybody a fair opportunity at that news. So we kind of had a little time frame. We knew we were up against the clock, though, because we knew when that release came out. But you had to time it, because people find out they're going to process in different ways. So it was intensity, and I, you're balancing. We had a couple of our phones going and trying to just assure and reassure, and took as much time with everybody as needed, each recruit. And I can't thank the parents enough of these young women that are going to play for us. I can't thank the young women themselves enough. They were so gracious, and they processed with us. And by the end of the day, including our players, I think I probably talked for, from 3 o'clock till about 10:30, nonstop, of just trying to make sure everybody could ask as many questions and feel comfortable. So it was intense, but when we got there little by little, I just am so thankful for everybody's belief. But it was, I will say, to date, in that type of organizational day and what was at stake, probably one of the most intense days, but thankfully ended up being one of the most gratifying days.
Jan Jensen led the nation at Elkhorn-Kimballton High School, averaging 66 points a game, playing the storied 6-on-6 game, led the Spartans to a state championship, and was voted High School All-American. Now she's on to the next chapter, and it's expected to be just as successful. That's our Fight for Iowa podcast for this week. I'm Gary Dolphin. Go Hawks.
You've been listening to the Fight for Iowa podcast. Hawkeye fans, remember to hit the subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. Once you become a Fight for Iowa podcast subscriber, you'll automatically receive the latest episodes of the Fight for Iowa podcast, the Hawkeye Women Rise podcast, Hawk Talk replays, exclusive game content, and more. Until next time, on Iowa, and go Hawks! The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Hawkeye Sports Network.